Is Deepti Sharma on her way to become the greatest ever all-rounder in women's cricket?
Someone who made her debut for the Indian team almost a decade ago at the age of 16, and she's now 27, already the best all-rounder India has ever produced, and on her way to possibly become the greatest all-rounder ever in women's cricket. Now, before we talk about her numbers, her technique, and everything that she's done so far for the Indian team, hit that subscribe button.
Hailing from Uttar Pradesh, Deepti Sharma represents India in all three formats of cricket. Along with Harmanpreet Kaur and Smriti Mandhana, Deepti Sharma is probably one of the biggest household names when it comes to cricket for women in India. And this is also rightfully reflected in her BCCI contract. She is one of only 3 players to have a grade A contract with the BCCI. Deepti Sharma is an all-rounder in the truest sense. Not only can she hold her own with the bat, but also with the ball. In test matches so far, she's played 5 test matches with an average of 63, and she's already gotten 4 half centuries in just the 8 innings that she's played. Not only that, but in these 8 innings, she's also picked up 20 wickets at an impressive average of just 18. Moving from the longest format to the shortest format, Deepti Sharma has played 124 T20 internationals for India. Not only has she been handy with the bat, getting over 1000 runs in this format with an average of 23 and a strike rate of 104, but she's also picked up 138 wickets at a very impressive average of 19 and an economy of just 6.04.
When it comes to the ODI format, she's the joint fastest cricketer to reach 1000 runs for the Indian team, but it just doesn't stop here. In over 103 ODI matches that she has played, she has more than 2000 ODI runs with an average of 34. Not just this, she has 133 ODI wickets with an average of 26 and economy of just 4.1. What makes these ODI numbers stand out is the fact that she's the only Indian to score 2000 plus runs and get 100 plus wickets. And even when you compare her to the international stage, she's one of only 10 such players. These might be her numbers from her past, but even in the present in terms of ICC ranking, she's right up there. In the T20 format, she's 3rd in the list of all-rounders ranking and number 4 in the bowlers ranking. And in the ODI format, she's 5th in all-rounders ranking and number 4 in terms of the bowling rankings.
However, despite all of this, the first thing that you notice is the fact that although Deepti Sharma got her first 1000 ODI runs in just 29 innings, since then she's only got about another 1000 runs and she's played 88 innings. And firstly, this begs the question of why. What happened to Deepti Sharma? Is it that she's not batting as well as she used to, or is there something more to it? And for this very reason, we've decided to divide her career into 2 halves, splitting the matches equally both in ODIs as well as T20s to understand better what has happened with Deepti Sharma. Now, in the first half of her ODI career, the one hallmark of this period is that Deepti Sharma batted a lot in the top 4. Out of the 44 innings that she played in her first half, 26 of these innings came in the positions of 1 to 4. And she also did extremely well here, scoring 1382 runs at a very impressive average of 40 plus and a strike rate of 63. Now, I want you to keep this strike rate in your mind because this is something that we will come back to later. This period saw Deepti Sharma get 10 50s and 100. And what a 100 it was. This 19-year-old Deepti Sharma scored 188 in South Africa, which was the highest score by an Indian in WODIs and the 3rd highest overall internationally. Deepti also bowled really good off-spin during this period, picking 57 wickets in the 50 matches that she played, with a bowling average of 28.4 and a bowling economy rate of 3.9. She also had 1 fifer and 1 four to go with this. And we looked at all of the players who had been scoring big runs for India from the time Deepti Sharma made her debut up until the first half of her career. Here in this period, she's been the 3rd highest run scorer for the Indian team. However, she does have the 2nd worst strike rate amongst all of these batters, and that's something to keep in mind. Lastly, she was also a great contributor with the ball, where she was the 4th highest wicket taker for the Indian team during this period.
Now, coming to the second half of her ODI career, something that's very, very interesting is the fact that in the 44 innings that she did play, she batted in the top 4 only thrice. She did score 781 runs with an average of 26.9 and a strike rate of 70. In this time period, of course, she had no 100, especially because she was batting down the order, but she did have 2 50s in her name. What is a lot more impressive is the fact that she only improved with the ball. In the 53 matches that she did play in the second half, she picked up 76 wickets with an average of 25 and economy of 4.4. She had 1 4-4 and 2 fifers in her name. She is the 5th highest run scorer for India, but if you look at her numbers in the top 10 run scorers in this time period, she had the 2nd worst strike rate, but more importantly, the worst strike rate as compared to active players. Now, this says something about her strike rates. But her with the ball was only magical. She was the highest wicket taker for India in this time period, while having the 2nd best average.
Now that we've spoken about Deepti Sharma's career of 2 halves, something that you would have noticed is that she was firstly batting more in the top 4 in the first half of her career, and that drastically reduced in the second half. Not only that, she's also someone who bats extremely slow for the ODI setup with a strike rate of just 63 in the first half and 70 in the second half. And this is where the issue was. Deepti Sharma batted in a time period despite scoring all of those runs with the likes of someone like a Mithali Raj, who was also known for her slow strike rate during that period. And because of this, the Indian team just could not afford to have two batters who would bat extremely slow, leading to them not getting big enough totals. And this is also showcased in the fact that Deepti Sharma has some of the worst strike rates that we've seen amongst active players. And this is also the reason why we don't see Deepti Sharma bat in the top 4 anymore. Because of the quality of batters that the Indian team now possesses, the likes of Smriti Mandhana, Harmanpreet Kaur for starters, and even beyond that, the younger players like a Richa Ghosh or a Jemima Rodriguez, all of these people have a strike rate of at least 80 to 90. And in such a batting lineup, and with the new trends in women's cricket and the run scoring increasing by the day, it was only going to be a matter of time before Deepti Sharma started coming lower down the order, where she now bats at number 6. And this has also been a criticism point for Deepti Sharma, right? A lot of people have talked about how she's been extremely slow. She's also someone who's an extremely textbook cricketer when it comes to her batting, and this is something that we will get to a little later in the video. But because of all of these reasons and her being extremely slow, it was eventually what caused her to go out of favor in the top of the order. This is also reflective in her T20 numbers because there is a great improvement in her strike rates that we will get to.
Even in the T20 format, we have divided her career into two halves. If you look at the first half, in the 60 T20 games that she did play, she only batted in the top 4 5 times with an average of 21 and a strike rate of 92. She's picked up 63 wickets with an average of 20 and an economy of 6.1. These are still impressive numbers because with the ball she was the second highest wicket taker for the Indian team. But with the bat, however, the trend continues. Even though she was one of the highest scorers for the Indian team in the T20 format, she still had the worst strike rate in the top 10 run scorers for the Indian team in the T20 format.
The second half of her career is no different. She only batted twice in the top 4 in the 64 games that she played. However, her average and strike rate did improve, with her average now going to 25.7 and her strike rate finally crossing 100, where she was striking at 118.1. But even more than her batting here, her bowling went a notch higher, with her picking 75 wickets in 64 games, with a beautiful bowling average of 17.9 and an incredible economy rate of just 5.9 in the T20 format. She was also a consistent run scorer, being the 6th highest run scorer during this period for the Indian team, while also being the highest wicket taker for this Indian team. However, something to note was that her strike rate was still not the best. In fact, it was only the 6th best in terms of strike rate amongst the top 10 scorers for the Indian team in that period.
There's a reason why she's been so consistent with the bat and the ball for the Indian team, and rightfully one of the best all-rounders the game has ever produced. And that is simply because of her technique and the way she goes about her bowling and batting. If you look at her bowling, she's a very side-on bowler, and this simply means that her landing foot is parallel to the crease, and if you look at a non-bowling hand, it's across her face while releasing the ball. And at the time of her release, her chest is facing the leg umpire. She also has a very high arm action, because of which she's able to get the flight and especially the dip. And this is something she relies a lot on while bowling spin, because she's not a huge turner of the ball, and because she's someone who relies on a flight and the dip, she plays around with the pace of the ball quite a bit. And because she's not a huge turner of the ball, and because of the flight and the dip that she gets, there are moments where she also gets drift, because of which, regardless of the spin off the pitch, she deceives the batter in the air.
It's important that we talk about Deepti Sharma, the batter, and what changed for her. Now, one of the first few things that we need to keep in mind, and the initial style of play that Deepti Sharma had, is something to take note of. She was a very textbook player and someone who used to soak up a lot of dot balls. Deepti Sharma's range of shots was also limited, especially her power game, where a lot of her strokes that you will see that resulted in boundaries were slogs or heaves on the mid-wicket side. For the longest time, it felt like if bowlers could just continuously ball around the off stump, it would be tough for Deepti Sharma to get boundaries away, especially when she was facing up against spinners. This is also something that's evident in her dot ball percentage, where in WPL of 2023, she faced 49% of her deliveries as dot balls. Not only that, in this inaugural season of the WPL, Deepti Sharma also was not able to hit any sixes, emphasizing a lack of power game. From there, a big change and challenge for Deepti Sharma was going to be how she can up her power game and how she can reduce her dot ball percentage. And one of the easiest things that Deepti could do to change her dot ball percentage was just to get better at strike rotation. Now, how she was going to do this was by opening up her offside a lot more. This was also reflective in her WPL in 2024, where her dot ball percentage came down from 49% in 2023 to 32.4% in 2024. Not only that, she also improved her power game, hitting 8 sixes in the WPL of 2024. The WPL 2024 season was also a breakout season for her with the bat in terms of a power hitting game because she was the highest scorer for the UP Warriors, where she also got 62.3% of all of her runs in boundaries. And another thing that a lot of people might discount is her performances in the 100 and how that helped her power game as well. While Deepti Sharma was only dismissed once in that tournament, her dot ball percentage that season in the 100 was just 27.5%. And despite this, she only got 50.9% of all of her runs in the form of boundaries, and this meant that the remaining almost 50% of runs still came in running between the wickets and strike rotation, which was a big improvement on the Deepti Sharma of the past.
For someone who's just 27 years old and for someone who has so many years left in Indian cricket, it's great to see someone like her make her adjustments and make sure she's growing her game, especially with the bat, because she will be someone very important, especially batting down the order and making sure she's finishing games for the Indian team with the bat. Even though Deepti Sharma may not have scored a lot of runs or taken a lot of wickets in this year's WPL, she will be someone very, very important for the Indian team heading into the World Cup, especially when you know that the World Cup is in India. Even though she has some time to go before she becomes the best all-rounder in the world, she is by far the greatest all-rounder India has ever produced. If you have enjoyed this video, like, share and subscribe, all that good stuff. All of our links are in the description below. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And if you haven't joined our WhatsApp channel, do that too. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.